So how does a war happening thousands of miles away, in Ukraine, end up sparking one of India's biggest defense innovations? It sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, today, we're going to get into the incredible story of the Zorawar light tank. So here's a question for you. Can a single, relatively cheap drone take out an entire multi-million-dollar battle tank? I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a video game, doesn't it? But for military planners, this has become a deadly serious reality. Before 2022, a lot of them would have said, probably not. And then, well, everything changed. You see, when the war in Ukraine started, these huge, powerful Russian tanks, we're talking symbols of military might, started turning into these smoldering piles of metal. And what was taking them out? The culprit, it turns out, was these relatively cheap Turkish drones. No one saw it coming. It was this huge upset that sent shockwaves through military HQs all over the world.
Okay, so a war in Eastern Europe. You're probably thinking, why should that cause alarm bells to ring all the way in New Delhi? And that's a fair question. But the reason, well, it's actually pretty simple. And for India's defense planners, it was deeply, deeply concerning.
And here it is. This is the connection that set off all the alarms. You see those T-90 tanks getting picked off in Ukraine? Well, that's the exact same model that forms the backbone of the Indian Army's tank fleet. They call it the Bhishma. And just like that, what was seen as India's armored fist suddenly looked, well, it looked dangerously exposed.
So let's connect the dots here, right? Turkey makes these incredibly effective drones. And Turkey happens to be a very close ally of Pakistan. You can see where this is going. The nightmare scenario for India started to become crystal clear. What happens if Pakistan gets its hands on this drone tech? Suddenly, India's whole tank fleet, mostly those T-90s and T-72s, could be in the exact same boat. We're talking a massive, massive vulnerability.
But here's the thing about India. If you look at its history, it has this incredible habit of taking a major strategic problem and turning it into a moment of pure innovation. This was a huge challenge for sure, but it wasn't the first time the country had been backed into a corner like this.
Let's rewind a bit, back to the Kargil War in 1999. India desperately needed GPS data to track enemy positions in the mountains. They asked the US for help, and were told, no, flat out denied. So what was the response? India didn't just complain, it got to work. They decided, fine, we'll build our own. And that's how we got Navik, India's very own, fully independent satellite navigation system. The goal was simple, never again.
You know that old saying, necessity is the mother of invention? It perfectly sums up this mindset. Just like being denied GPS led to Navik, seeing those tanks get destroyed in Ukraine became the trigger, the catalyst, for the next big leap forward. And that brings us to India's answer. A solution designed to tackle two massive problems at once, the new drone threat and the unique, brutal challenges of fighting at high altitude, especially with the ongoing standoffs with China. The answer is a brand new, homegrown light tank, the Zorawar.
So Project Zorawar. What is it exactly? Well, it's this amazing team-up between the DRDO, that's India's Defense Research and Development Organization, and a major private company, Larsen & Toubro. Their whole mission was to create a tank from scratch designed specifically for India's toughest, highest borders.
And get this is what's really incredible. They went from just an idea on paper to a real, working prototype out on the testing grounds in less than 2.5 years. Now, in the world of defense development, that is absolutely light speed. It just shows you how urgent they felt this threat really was.
All right, so what's the big deal with Zorawar? Why is everyone calling it the new King of the Mountains? Well, it all boils down to how it was designed. It's a really smart design that solves a bunch of problems all at the same time.
First up, and this is huge, is the weight. Let's put it in perspective. India's main battle tank, the Arjun, is a 68-ton monster. It's great for fighting on the flat plains, but try to get that thing up into the Himalayas with the thin air and narrow roads, it's a liability. The Zorawar, though, it's only about 25 tons. We're talking less than half the weight. It's built to be quick and agile precisely where India needs it most. So this lightweight design gives it some major advantages. First, obviously, it's perfect for the mountains. Second, it's not giving up any firepower. It's still packing a powerful 105mm gun. But the third point, and this is maybe the most important, is that it was literally born from those lessons in Ukraine. It has its own drones for spotting the enemy, and an active protection system designed specifically to shoot down incoming drone attacks. And let's be very clear about something.
The Zorawar wasn't built in a vacuum. It was designed with a very specific adversary in mind. Across the border, the line of actual control, China already has its own light tank, the ZTQ-15, so the Zorawar is India's direct answer to that. It's a move to level the playing field, and you could argue it's even more modern, right there on the world's highest battlefield.
You know, when you step back and look at it, the story of the Zorawar is so much more than just a new tank. It's really a powerful statement. It's about a nation's entire strategic vision for the future. Even the name itself, it's just steeped in history. The tank is named after General Zorawar Singh Kaluria. This guy was a legendary military commander back in the 19th century, famous for his incredible campaigns in the exact same Himalayan mountains this tank is built to defend. That history, that legacy of mountain warfare, is literally baked right into its identity.
And look, this isn't just some one-off prototype they're testing. The plan is for Indian Army to bring in 354 of these tanks. That number tells you everything. It's a massive commitment. It signals that India is serious about modernizing and about mastering high-altitude warfare, all on its own terms.
So you go from a shocking lesson learned halfway across the world in Ukraine to a completely self-reliant solution built for the Himalayas. The Zorawar really does feel like a new chapter for the Indian military. And it leaves us with a really big question to think about, right? In a world where technology and alliances are changing faster than ever, how much does this kind of homegrown innovation actually prepare a country for the wars of the future?